All right, all right, all right. Welcome to another edition of Shabbat Lounge. This is Matt.
And Jake here.
We're coming to you with another Torah portion. This is week 46. And Jake, tell them what they should do.
They should go and read it for themselves. And then after you've done that, you can subscribe to our channel. And so you can catch all the updated videos that we put out and hear all of our commentary.
Yeah. And we appreciate you taking time to take part in this. And we appreciate if you tell your friends and family, tell everyone you know, and share this on your social media platforms. There's probably a little share button somewhere, and you can send them a link or share this with someone. We would appreciate any of that. Comments are always nice. And, well, we also have a website.
Yes, it's sabbathlounge.com. And also you can share this with people you don't know as well.
Yes, just random strangers.
Yep.
So, well, today we're going to start with this Torah portion. Jake, what's it called?
It's called Ekev.
Because
that's Hebrew, Ekev.
Yeah.
That's
Deuteronomy 7:12 through 11:25. And as we've discussed, Deuteronomy is a fantastic book, and if you've never read Deuteronomy, stop listening to us and go read it.
Right, you're missing out. Now, disclaimer, there's a lot in this section.
Yeah, and we'll go through it as quick as we can, but there's still a lot. And there may be a few things we kind of skip over, and you may want to go back and research a little bit more. But we'll jump right into it. In 7:12 through 16 is guarding the commandments. What does that mean, Jake?
Well, I think we talked about this in the last portion as well about guarding and like protecting them, keeping them, making sure you're not losing them or forgetting them or letting them get mixed in with the pagans.
Mm-hmm.
So similar to guard the Sabbath, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you guard something, I think if you're playing cards and you breast your cards, you're putting them up close to you, close to your heart kind of thing. And that's the same kind of idea where you're putting it up close to you, and it's important, and you're going to take care of it. And this idea of the blessings being multiplied, we're going to look at that a little bit. So Jake, tell us about this scripture here. What's it talking about?
All right. Well, I'll read it, and then we'll kind of pull some things out. If you listen to these rules and faithfully obey them, Yahweh your Elohim will keep his promise to you and be merciful to you, as he swore to your ancestors. He will love you, bless you, and increase the number of your descendants. He will bless you with children. He will bless your land with produce, grain, new wine, and olive oil. He will bless your herds with calves and your flocks with lambs and kids. This will all happen in the land Yahweh will give you, as he swore to your ancestors. You will be blessed more than any other people. Your men and women will be able to have children, and your animals will be able to have offspring. Yahweh will keep you from having any kind of illness. He will not strike you with any of the terrible diseases you experienced in Egypt. Instead, he will strike all those who hate you. You must destroy all the people Yahweh your Elohim hands over to you. Have no pity on them, and never worship their gods, because they will be a trap for you.
Sign me up. Sounds all right.
Signed up.
So let's take a look at some of these things. Hashtag blessed, Jake. What are we blessed by?
We still doing the hashtags?
Yeah.
Okay. Then yeah. Hashtag blessed. So we're blessed with things like flocks, children, fruit, grain, cattle, sheep, wine, oil, and lack of disease. Those all sound like good blessings.
Kind of sounds like
he'll take care of you. Food and water, and
kind of sounds like heaven.
So,
sounds like sounds pretty awesome. And so it is a foreshadowing to that for sure, no doubt. It's not hard to see that that's a pretty easy comparison to make.
Yep.
So we'll move on, hopefully, to something else here. There we go. All right, so we pulled out Revelation 21, and Revelation we're focusing on, I don't know why it says 4, but I don't think it's supposed to be 4. Maybe I meant 14. So Revelation 21, it talks about the sun will not beat down on them, nor any scorching heat. And that made me think of the cloud by day. And so that's kind of my connection back to the blessings, this is also referring to blessings. So he's going to lead them to springs of living water. He's going to wipe away every tear from their eyes. So they're not going to hunger. They're not going to thirst. The sun isn't going to shine on them. So kind of a similar idea that we see in Revelation.
Yeah.
No sadness, no crying, no death.
Right.
Revelation 21. I'm not sure about the 4, though.
Yeah. Check us on that.
All
so
right,
this
Jake.
is kind of, when you think about all the blessings he's given, I kind of went and thought about, well, what does the world look like today? Does it look like all those blessings? And he talks about being fruitful and, giving you the blessings of children and all this stuff. And yes, we do have children, and it is a blessing. But you see all kinds of miscarriages. There's C-sections because childbirth is difficult, and also because of medical pharmakia type things.
Mm-hmm.
You have premature births that are, off the charts, rejected offspring. That could be in terms of your flocks or people. Like you've heard of, what is it when a mother kind of...
Postpartum depression?
Yeah. So and then there's diseases and illnesses all over the place. There's high-risk pregnancies, and we have a whole unit for babies with issues, right? The NICU. And then you have things like we need pesticides and irrigation and chemical fertilizers, all these things to help grow crops, wherein, the blessing is you don't need this stuff. It's just going to grow for you, right? And then, Matt, have you heard of this idea of the diluted olive oil and honey?
I have heard people say that just recently, this week, that olive oil sometimes is not what they say it is.
Yeah.
And I've heard that for a while on honey. I know, like, if you're a coffee connoisseur, such as myself, you've gone to a lot of coffee shops and they will offer you a more liquid honey. And the reason, the main reason, that's a logistic thing. It's easier to dissolve into the honey, especially if it's a cold drink.
Right.
Because if you've ever tried to dissolve honey in iced coffee, that doesn't work very well. It just is a big glob on the bottom. So that's a practical reason.
I think some people might like that, though.
Yeah, maybe a little prize at the end.
Yeah.
But I don't. But I think people are cutting the honey and stretching it, I guess.
Yeah, in terms of trying to make more money with less product.
Yeah.
And then here's if you just Google olive oil, what did we say?
Diluted
olive oil. You'll get
adulteration.
Yeah. They're adulterating it.
That's right.
So search it out yourself. See what you find.
Yeah. And then he strikes them with illness.
So, here he's talking about, I will not give you the illnesses of Egypt, and yet they will fall on those who are wicked. So,
once again, sign me up.
For the no illness thing?
Yeah, no illness. and it falling on my enemies.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I think a lot of times we go, oh man, people are getting sick. That devil, he's after us again.
Yeah.
But Yah doesn't share his glory. And he's the one that says, I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. So, and I don't know. I've heard people kind of flinch at this, but the fact is Yahweh's in control, and he kind of decides what's going to happen.
Well, Scripture says he disciplines those he loves.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's discipline, and it's an opportunity when you're struck with illness, it's terrible, but, and I don't wish it on anybody, but a lot of times you are forced with, am I going to turn to Yah, or am I going to become bitter and I'm going to deny him?
Right.
And you can be, there's a lot of people that are faced with illness and they go on to be a great example to their family of how they respond, and they're not afraid, and they witness to their family at the very end in ways maybe they wouldn't have before.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to make the point that, be careful who you're giving credit to.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So if we keep Torah, Jake, why are we seeing illnesses still to this day?
Have you gotten this question? Have you heard this question before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and actually, I've seen a lot of people in the Torah movement have like crazy illnesses that they deal with. And, but it's not unlike any other group of people. The truth is that he offered them this and they blew it. So,
yeah.
So now you see illness.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. 7:19, they saw the mighty hand and outstretched powerful arm. What do you think about this, Jake?
Yeah, so this is when he's talking about when he's telling them that they saw all these miraculous signs coming out of Egypt. So clearly he's talking about the people that are still alive. So they would have been 20 or younger, right? Younger than 20 years old from the time the 40 years began, because all of those people are dead now. So
may they rest in peace.
Right. And so he's bringing to mind to those who were children at the time, remember, you saw these things through the wilderness. And so, and we pointed this out in the last portion. He's going to keep saying this a lot, that they saw it with the mighty hand and the outstretched arm. And that is an allusion to Yeshua and him on the Staros. So,
yeah.
The Tav, as they say.
Yeah. And then in 7:22, we see this concept, little by little, your Elohim, let me start over. Little by little, Yahweh, your Elohim, will force these nations out of your way. You won't be able to wipe them out quickly. Otherwise, you'd be overrun with wild animals.
Sign me up.
So, and there's this concept of little by little, which we also see in Isaiah 28:10, for precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. And to me, Jake, I see this concept of this is how the kingdom is built. And it's a concept that, he didn't do these things overnight. He gave people time to grow. He gives us time to grow. He doesn't, give you this giant needle and just vaccinate you all at once. Because you couldn't handle it,
right?
And so he gives you just a little bit at a time, and for you to digest and for it to process and become a part of who you are.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about Acts 15 and about Torah, and they were like, "Well," I was describing how he's giving them a starting point. These are things that we can start with, and the person responded with. Well, if it's sin, why didn't you just tell them all of the sins right there and, no sin from now on, and it's this concept of little by little, he tells them, go to the synagogues on Sabbath and you'll pick this stuff up as you need it. And, as it comes up. So
and it's just like how we teach children,
right?
We also don't do that with children. We don't give them everything and sit them down day one, as soon as they can understand words and explain the birds and the bees to them,
right?
It just, they couldn't understand what
they don't know what a bird is.
Yeah. So you have to do things at the right time.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, 7:25. Burn the graven images of the gods and do not desire the silver and gold on them. It's a snare to you. Yeah,
so it would be, wouldn't it? I mean, you're like, okay, we just took over all these pagan societies. What am I just gonna burn all this silver and gold.
Let this all go to waste.
No, it's a gift from Yah, and I'm going to use it for him, right? It's the bleating of the sheep in my ears. He prefers obedience to sacrifice, right? It's that same concept.
Yeah.
No, don't take your drug money and, and throw it in the trash, basically. So this is similar to Joshua chapter 7. I think it's around verse 16 and on there. It talks about Achan. And so he takes these Babylonian garments and the silver and gold from them, and Joshua takes him into the valley of Achor, and they stone him and burn him.
Oh,
it's crazy.
That's serious.
But that's what they were supposed to do with the idols and stuff, and they were supposed to burn it up. So he got the same treatment that the idols were supposed to get that he didn't get. He hid them in his tent.
And it's important to note, I know in the last few we've talked about all the people they were supposed to kill and destroy, and that's something you kind of have to wrestle with if you're going to be intellectually honest with how you think about God. That's something we have to wrestle with, and I encourage you to study that out and look at things like the Nephilim and look at these people that they're wiping out, and they are giants, and kind of that's worth chasing some of those rabbits if you've never chased them. And once you start to see that these people that they're told to kill, all of them are probably contaminated seed, if you will. So that's something you should study out on your own.
Yeah, one of the big things that kind of helps that fall into place is look at the names of these kings and what their names mean.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows you what they're into, and it's not good stuff.
None of it's good, yeah. All right, so we got lots of quotes here, and this is a great quote in 8:3. So Jake, what does it say here?
So he made you suffer from hunger and then fed you with manna, which neither you nor your ancestors had seen before. He did this to teach you that a person cannot live on bread alone, but on every word that Yahweh speaks.
Matthew 4:4.
Yeshua answered, Scripture says a person cannot live on bread alone, but on every word that Yahweh speaks.
So now you know where it came from.
So he used an Old Testament verse there.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Interesting.
The words that he helped author.
The words that he was.
Yes, he was Word made flesh. So in 9:1 we see live, multiply, possess.
That's right.
And we're going to see
those
that.
Things.
Going to see that a lot.
Yes, and we'll kind of smooth into that too, but so he's consuming fire, and he uses the Israelites to destroy the Anakims.
And in this translation right here, it describes them, I think I'm looking at the Sefer, it calls them great and tall, which we might call giants.
Right. Yeah, so look into that. They're clearly giants, extra tall people.
So here's another concept where we say you can see grace in the Torah. So Jake, read what this says.
So you're saying grace isn't just a New Testament concept?
No.
Okay, let's see. When Yahweh your Elohim expels these people in front of you, don't say to yourselves, because we've been living right, Yahweh brought us here to take possession of this land. No, it's because these nations are so wicked that Yahweh is forcing them out of your way. It's not because you've been living right or because you're so honest that you're entering to take possession of their land. It's because these people are so wicked that Yahweh your Elohim is forcing them out of your way. It's also because Yahweh wants to confirm the promise he swore to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So understand this. It's not because you've been living right that Yahweh your Elohim is giving you this good land to possess. You are impossible to deal with.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement here, but at the beginning, that's powerful. It's not because you're doing anything so great, and it's because of his grace and because of his promise. So
right,
it's definitely an interesting passage. And then we're going to see a lot of this, Jake.
Blessings
and curses.
Yeah, it's all kind of throughout here. A lot of if-then statements.
Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of divide this up into, those scriptures here, 7 7:12 through 9:6 is blessings, and then 9:7 through 11:25 is curses. And then 9:21 took your sin away, is what I meant to say there. I took that sinful calf you made and burned it. I crushed it, grinding it thoroughly until it was as fine as powder. Then I threw the powder into the river that flowed down the mountain. So, basically it's an example of he took the sin and burned it, crushed it, ground it.
Yep. And it made them eat it.
Yeah. 10:12 through 13, Yah's will for your life. It's kind of the same idea, the blessing and curses, my way or his way.
That's right. And I kind of wanted to read this too because it's pretty, well, you'll see. And now, Israel, what does Yahweh your Elohim require of you but to fear Yah, your Elohim, to walk in all his ways and to love him, and to serve Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul, to keep the commandments of Yahweh and his statutes, which I command you this day for your good. The commandments are for your good. And that's the my way on the screen there.
Mm-hmm.
Or the his way. Sorry.
His way.
His way.
Yeah. And that's a great passage you read, by the way. And then 10:16 talks about circumcision of the heart.
Right. So that's what it's all about. That's what it's always been about, circumcision of the heart. And
but people want to argue and say we're trying to be flesh mutilators sometimes.
Yeah, but the flesh is just a fruit of the inward situation.
It says circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart and be no more stiff-necked.
So if you're stiff-necked, your heart is not circumcised.
Yep. And they were stiff-necked people. So in 10:22, we see this idea. I just wanted to point it out. There's a multitude and the number 70 mentioned. So,
yeah, I thought this was interesting also. Mm-hmm. The 70 people, the 70 nations, all the nations.
Yeah, anytime you see 70, think about nations. And then 11:3.
Yah's mighty right arm.
It's kind of going back to the other scripture we mentioned a little bit. And then there's a connection to Acts 2:33, Hebrews 8:1, but go look those up, see how they're connected.
Right.
All right, Jake.
Lots of possess here.
Yeah.
So how does that relate
confused with pizzazz?
Right. You can confuse it with that if you want.
Yes.
But also possess is important. So, and then still going to talk about possessing, and Korah is mentioned again, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, so how does that tie into Psalms?
All right, in Psalms, we see Korah mentioned because it says in 106, Psalms 106, 16 through 18, in the camp certain men became envious of Moses. They also became envious of Aaron, Yahweh's Holy One. The ground split open and swallowed Dathan. It buried Abram's followers. A fire broke out amongst their followers. Flames burned up the wicked people.
That certainly is the Korah scenario.
And if you weren't sure what Korah was about, this one kind of sheds a little more light on it, that they were envious.
Yeah. Which
was not a good thing. And that's why Moses, as soon as he hears it, he gets on face down on the ground and is like, oh my gosh. This is going to be bad.
Bad news bears.
And then Jake, Deuteronomy 11, 10 through 11, you're bringing out something kind of interesting here.
So, yeah, he talks about how they had to water their gardens previously, but in the land they will have rain. So it says, for the land where you go in to possess it is not as the land of Egypt, from whence you came out. Where you sowed thy seed and watered it with thy foot as a garden of herbs. So, yeah, the land they came out of, they had to water and irrigate their gardens.
How do you water with foot? I know how I do it. My water hose bib is a little quarter turn valve that I put in, and I can just push it closed with my foot.
Well, there you go.
Maybe he means water by foot, like you're going to have to walk with a bucket
Yeah.
and pour water on your plants.
Yeah, to me, this is talking
not with
about
a water hose bib.
Yeah, it's talking about you have to put in the work.
Yeah, this wasn't easy, but that's an interesting concept about the difference between. I think you could do like a whole lesson on this about watering with irrigation versus watering it.
Yeah,
and which one is easier and which one is better.
And it ties into you plant and waters, right? Yeah. That kind of thing. If you're sitting over there trying to water it, you're trying to do it by your own hand instead of letting him do it.
Yeah, and if it's hot where you are listening to this right now, hot and dry, at the time of this recording, it is summertime and it's hot and dry, and we don't usually get rain this time of year, and you can water the snot out of your grass. You can water it every day, and you can kind of make it green, but you get one rain to come through, and everything is just like explodes.
Yeah.
So, there's something about rain that just can't be replaced.
It's very easy to see that difference.
Yeah. It's almost like he makes it obvious. Like, yeah, okay, you're cute and all, and you try to water some things, but let me show you how this is really done.
Yeah.
And then Deuteronomy 11:13.
If you faithfully obey the commands that I'm giving you today, love Yahweh your Elohim and serve him with all your heart and with all your soul.
And that is connected to Matthew 22:36 through 40.
Teacher, which commandment is the greatest in Moses' teachings? Yeshua answered him, love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and most important commandment. The second is like it. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. All of Moses' teachings and the prophets depend on these two commands.
Well, now you know where you got it.
Yep.
And then there's this concept of 24/7. In 11:18 through 20, it says, take these words of mine to heart and keep them in mind. Write them down, tie them around your wrist, wear them as headbands as a reminder. Teach them to your children. Talk about them when you're at home or away, when you lie down, when you get up. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. And that is something, if you're not living that out, you should figure out how to do that.
Make it happen.
Yeah, that's extremely important. All right, so we got a little bit of wedding language here, Jake, in verse 22.
Faithfully obey all these commands I'm giving you. Love Yahweh your Elohim, follow all his directions, and be loyal to him.
And in, I believe, one translation I looked at, it even used the word cleave, and it definitely associates, in the Sefer in 22, it refers to it as cleave unto him instead of being loyal to him, which cleave to me, really, really fits the wedding language.
Right.
All right, Jake, we looked at possesses and 13 times. So we listed some verses here. There's some duplicates of the word possess within these, but 13 times he mentions the word possess just in this Torah portion alone. What is the deal?
I think he's trying to say it's important that they go in and possess the land and such, because you have to take the gift to receive the gift.
Yeah.
You have to go in and get it. There's a you part. He's offered you something. Mm-hmm. Now get it.
Yeah, I was just I had an interesting conversation with a pastor. I was doing some work on his property, and I had that conversation with him about, I don't believe in greasy grace. And it was interesting. He said he didn't either. And we talked about how there's always a you part. People who teach there's not a you part, that's not right.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to know that there are people in the quote unquote church today that think and understand that.
Right.
That know there's a you part to this, and clearly there was a you part here to this possessing, and they didn't always do it. And there's a spiritual component too. It's this idea of possessing your mind and your heart, and that is so much more powerful today because we don't have a land necessarily to go to possess, but we got to possess our mind and heart, and that's very hard to do today.
Yeah, you have a lot of things looking to possess it themselves if you don't.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jake, we've come to the end there. I think we kind of went through that a lot faster than I thought we would.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in there, but, just trying to hit the highlights. So,
yeah. And bottom line is, we encourage you to read these Torah portions and search it out for yourself. Take your own notes. I highly recommend to buy, not that I'm endorsed or sponsored in any way by anyone. Not that we'd be opposed to that, but we are not. And I have the Sefer book. Get you some book like the Torah portions all in one place. Something you can take notes on and keep year after year and kind of build your knowledge base and keep. I've seen people do this with journal. In fact, there's somebody recently I saw a Torah sister who has a Etsy page, and she sells some kind of like a journal page where you can purchase. And if you wanted that link, I think I could find that link for you. But where she takes like the Torah portion and kind of helps you have a page where you can take notes and things. So
nice.
It's a good practice to develop. So
right.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by Sabbath Lounge, and we encourage you, if you are part of a group, use a free resource that's available to them. Jake, tell them about the free resource.
The free resource is,
who doesn't like free?
Right. Can be found at sabbathlounge.com. And you just click on Torah portions. It's hidden right there at the top for everyone to see. And then you can follow along the Torah portions. It's very easy to follow along. You can just click the link. It'll pull up the section that you're going to read that week. So
yeah, Torah portions made easy. It's all there. It's got a cartoon by Brother Joshua Myers.
Correct.
And we encourage you to check out his work and check out his books. And he was gracious enough to let us use that. And that also has Torah in 60 seconds, which gives you a brief synopsis of the Torah portion, and sometimes they're funny.
Yep. And then our teaching, well, quote unquote teaching, our notes are on there, and you can check those out.
Yeah. Well, that's it, the end of this. Jake, you got anything to say?
Go forth and prosper, Matt. Take possession.
Right. Yeah. Multiply. Be fruitful and multiply.
All right.
All right. Well, we appreciate you stopping by. And this is Matt
and Jake
signing out.